Technology and Livelihood Education, Food Processing, Exploratory Course for Grade 7 and 8, Module 8, based on most essential learning competencies. Our topic is implement food safety practices and conduct work in accordance with environmental policies. Food safety is used as discipline that describes how food is handled, prepared, and stored in order for us to prevent foodborne illness and food contamination. However, environment policies are the commitment of an organization or government to the laws concerning environmental issues. According to the Center of Disease Control and Prevention, there are about 48 million cases of foodborne illness estimated every year. It is absolutely alarming knowing that lots of people are victims of it and suffered a lot. Thus, food safety must always observe and exercise well to stop it by applying the hazard analysis critical control point. Sanitation in a processing plant is a primary concern of all food processing firms. It is necessary to prevent or minimize hazards of product contamination and conditions aesthetically offensive to the consumers, and to provide clean, healthful, and safe working conditions. Sanitation Standard Operating Procedures, or SSOP, are components of Good Manufacturing Practices, or GMPs, emphasizing sanitation procedures on the topics to be discussed as follows. Workplace sanitation regulation in implementing sanitary food handling practices in the following aspects. In handling raw materials and supplies, check the source of supplies, the sources of fish, salt, and packaging materials. Check the quality, the condition of the fish, its freshness and temperature, the freshness of foreign materials, the color and purity of salt, and the purity of other additives. In monitoring during production, the preparation of fish must be monitored regularly to ensure the complete removal of entrails and gills for eviscerated fish and by thorough washing for whole fish. The correct brine concentration, amount of other ingredients, and the type of soaking must be strictly observed to ensure uniformity of every batch. The proper drying or cooking endpoint must be observed to ensure uniformity of the product quality. In packaging for retail packs, proper packing of products in the polyethylene or polypropylene bags must be checked. For bulk packs, check if products is properly stacked in carton boxes or wooden boxes that are lined with high-density polyethylene plastic films. In labeling, check if it carries appropriate labeling in accordance with the rules and regulations on labeling of pre-packaged foods. The following information shall be declared in every container, whether it bulk or in retail packages. For locally produced products, the name of the product and the product identification or generic name printed in the bold capital letters, the name and address of the manufacturer, the net weight in metric units, the ingredients itemized in decreasing order of ingredients, chemical additives or preservatives, open date marking, the best before or consumed before date, the lot identification code or the repackers must use manufacturer's lot ID code, and the storage instructions. Example is store in cool, dry place. For locally manufactured repack and imported repack products, it should be the same as numbers 1, 3, and 8. The name and address of manufacturer or repacker or importer is also included, and the country of origin. In storing and transporting, check if properly identified and if new production batches are segregated from previous batches. Check if during storage and transport, products not exposed to any of the following: direct sunlight or near source of strong sunlight, high temperature and humidity, contamination with moisture, and contamination with dust or filth from the environment. Good manufacturing practices or GMP is a broad term and includes accepted standards in the safety and maintenance of the following. Production and process control safety. First, all operations involving receiving, inspecting, preparing, processing, packaging, and storing of food must be conducted. Second, a strict quality control of raw materials should be enforced. Third, containers and carrier of raw materials, packaging materials, storage, and transportation of finished products should be thoroughly inspected and monitored. Workers' hygiene and safety. Number 1, good working conditions ensure not only the safety of the workers, but also the safety of food products that reach the consumers. Food processing plant personnel must be adequately trained on the proper hygiene and accident prevention that must be observed or practiced in the plant to assure continuous flow of work. Number 2, workers infected with contagious diseases should not be allowed to work as they can be the sources of contamination. They should be quarantined until cured and safe from spreading the disease. Food handlers with open and infected wounds or sores in the hands or arms should not be allowed to handle food products directly, for they can contaminate the food they touch. They should always be made aware of the dangers of hazards or careless practices. Strict compliance to sanitary measures should be observed. Safety measures to be observed by food handlers. Number 1, the hands should be washed thoroughly with soap and water. A disinfecting solution of chlorinated water should be available for rinsing of hands before handling food. Wearing rings, bracelets, and wristwatches during processing should be avoided as this can be the sources of contamination. Number 2, smoking in the preparation, processing, and packing area should never be allowed. Smoke can be absorbed in the food or the ashes and cigarette butts may get into the food. Spitting and blowing of nose should never be done within the premises of the plant. These unhealthy habits contribute to contamination and spread of diseases. Number 3, food handlers should be properly dressed. The use of gowns, aprons, head caps, or hairnets, masks, rubber gloves, and boots is ideal. This prevents contamination of the food by foreign matters from the handler's body like hair, dust, and germs exhaled from the nose and mouth. However, for small-scale industries, clean and light-colored shirts and caps or hairnets would be sufficient. Number 4, whenever possible, food must not be handled by bare hands during the preparation and packing. Number 5, packaging materials must never be handled directly, particularly on the side that shall be in direct contact with the food. Equipment and facilities safety. Number 1, processing facilities should be well ventilated, adequately lighted, and properly maintained. Thorough washing and subsequent disinfecting of processing equipment before and after use should be a standard operating procedure. Number 2, a good processing plant should have an effective pest control to keep it free from rodents and insect pests. Cleanliness of processing equipment, utensils, and surrounding prevents both infestation and contamination. Number 3, potable water supply should be available from adequate sources. Good drainage and sewage disposal system should also be provided. These are essential for the efficient maintenance of sanitation. Number 4, waste disposal should properly manage to prevent pollution of surroundings. The maintenance of cleanliness in working area requires frequent or continuous cleaning as well as clean-up at the end of each day. The purpose of this is to keep waste from accumulating during the operating day. It involves careful organization, training, work scheduling, and the best available equipment, method, and materials. Hazard Analysis Critical Control Point or HACCP. HACCP allows processors or regulator to look at what happens during the process to ensure safety. The major concepts of HACCP. Number 1, a preventive system of control, particularly on biological hazards. Number 2, a system approach for estimating the risk in producing a food product. Number 3, universally recognized system as the most effective way to prevent foodborne illness. Number 4, science-based systematic. Identified specific hazards and measure for their control to ensure food safety. Number 5, capable of accommodating change, such as advances in equipment design, processing procedures, or technological developments that can be applied throughout the food chain from the primary producer to the final consumer. Number 6, applicable to establishments that produce, process, treat, pack, trade, transport, serve, or involved in food production. 7. HACCP principles. Number 1, hazard analysis. 2, identify critical control points. 3, establish control limits. 4, monitor critical limits. Number 5, establish corrective actions in case of deviation from established critical limits. Number 6, establish verification procedure to ensure that the system is consistent. And number 7, establish record-keeping procedures. HACCP prerequisite programs. Number 1, a good manufacturing practices or GMP. This provides the sanitary infrastructure for the food safety of the following. A. Plant grounds and building facilities emphasize pest control. B. Equipment design provide ease in cleaning and maintenance. C. Personal hygiene practices and facilities are set. D. Process controls are followed. And E. Storage and warehousings are free from contamination. Another prerequisite program is the Sanitation Standard Operating Procedures or SSOP. SSOP are components of GMP that emphasize sanitation procedure. They include safety of water that gets in contact with food and food surfaces, condition and cleanliness of food contact surfaces, measures to prevent contamination, employee hygiene practices, control of employee health conditions that could result in contamination of food and food surfaces, protection of food and food contact surfaces from adulteration with toxic and other harmful components, proper labeling and storage and use of toxic, and control of pests. The third prerequisite programs is the good housekeeping system. It should include waste minimization such as reduce, reuse, or recycle, energy conservation, and productivity improvement schemes. The food processing plant facilities and environment. First is the building, which consists of walls, ceiling, and floors. Ventilation. There must be enough ventilation to prevent condensation. Condensate forming on overhead pipes and beams may drip into products and containers and deteriorate structures. Paint. It should stand up under the condition of use expected because flaking and peeling of paint on walls and ceiling above food handling areas is a source of contamination. The plant lighting. Light should be even and without glare, strong reflections or deep shadows, and of proper color rendition. The light bulbs and tubes should be of the safe type to prevent contamination by broken glass and to protect workers. It should have water supply, drainage, disposal of solid waste, and drinking fountain. Number 7, toilets. 8, washing facilities. Number 9, employee sanitation. Employees' personal hygiene such as proper clothing, head covering, gloves, and boots should be checked properly. Wearing jewelries and keeping objects in breast pockets should be avoided. And spitting of employees on the floors and walls as well as smoking are strictly prohibited. Number 10, the clean-up procedures. The general information regarding plant clean-up for proper evaluation is as follows. How much time has elapsed since last clean-up? Is a separate clean-up group used? Do workers do clean-up? Is there a clean-up supervisor? Are there clean-up specifications such as methods, materials, equipment, and time? What clean-up equipment, detergents, and sanitizing agents are used? When, where, and how our clean-up procedures are implemented? Waste management. It is defined as handling of all waste in the plant including food waste, scratch paper, and fallen dry leaves on the ground, trim wedges, and many others into useful products. It is also the utilization of waste by recycling and reusing this waste into other valuable products good for the health of the people to arrive at zero waste. Legal basis of waste management. Republic Act 9003, known as the National Solid Waste Management Act, is issued as part of War on Waste, or WOW. To fight against waste, provides that all waste matter will be recycled and reused into useful items. Different ways of waste disposal. A. For liquid waste control. Number 1 is screening. It is employed as preliminary treatment for removal of large particle of solid prior to final treatment to be discharged into a municipal sewage system. Number 2, lagooning. Biological disposal. It consists of holding the waste effluent in open earthen pits. Bureau of Fish and Aquatic Resources or BFAR regulations on fishery processed products. Fish Inspection and Quality Control Section. The regulation and requirements. BFAR guidelines on plant accreditation or approval. A. The accreditation process commences with application through the submission of LTO, GMP, SSOP, and HACCP plan specific to the product, processing activity, and plant location. B. Accreditation is based on verified compliance with the submitted programs and established rules and regulation on product safety and quality. Letter C. BFAR conducts both announced and unannounced inspections. Letter D. BFAR provides a certificate of accreditation and a certificate of HACCP implementation to plants that have been satisfactorily met the requirements. Letter E. Validity of accreditation varies from 6 months to 1 year. Letter F. BFAR notifies plants of any non-compliance of deficiencies after each inspection. Letter G. Accreditation is given only to plants obtaining a plant rating of AB, BA, or AA. Plant structure and equipment requirements and GMP, SSOP, and HACCP implementation. Letter H. BFAR shall withdraw the accreditation for plants with critical deficiencies. A time to remember. This is Maylene Huliganga. Thank you for watching.